I've reached episode 5 in Game of Thrones, which is halfway through season 1 and 1/16 of the way through the whole show. I'm going to do one episode today and just change it up a bit, so it might be a bit longer until I finish the whole series, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Unless you hate these videos, then it's probably quite bad. This is going to be the third Game of Thrones video I've released in a row, so I might upload a different kind just to mix it up a bit. I don't just want to be a one-trick pony uploading the same thing again and again. I do have some other channels that you can check out in the meantime, but I know the deal, you're probably only here for Game of Thrones, and when I'm finally done with this series, you'll probably never watch me again and discard me like a used condom. But we still have a long way to go in the show, so that's still quite a lot of enjoyment. I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's watch Game of Thrones. As for the hair situation, I'm not really sure what's going on. It's reaching that strange length. Ooh, nice visuals. Oh.
Does Sir Hugh have any family in the capital?
No.
Who determines the draw?
All the nice draw straws, Lord Stark.
Aye. But who holds the straws?
It's a very good question.
You've done good work, sisters.
So this is our guy who got stabbed and killed.
You're too fat for your arm.
Fat? Oh, it's funny, is it?
No, you're great.
Wow, is that his real belly?
How long before
Looks a
you
little
figure
bit
it out?
prosthetic.
All right. You watch me out there. I still know how to point a lance.
You know business jousting.
So I want to hit somebody.
And who's going to hit you back?
Anybody who can.
Ned
And the
would.
last man in his saddle will be you. Drink.
No, I'm not thirsty.
Drink. Your king commands it.
You know, I actually haven't had a drink since the quarantine began. Might need to find a good episode to have some wine to.
Too fat for my armour.
I know the feeling. It's like when you have a pair of jeans that you don't fit into anymore.
An inspiring sight for the people, eh? Come, bow before your king. Bow, you shits.
I like the king and his humour, but he definitely has a kind of a dark side to him. And I feel like he's almost like a keg who's ready to explode. Not just out of his armour either. This is our guy, the Mountain. This is the same guy who killed the last guy.
He's going to die.
I agree with her.
Sir Loras rides well.
No, the Mountain lost. No! So these two are brothers, right? It's not the worst thing we've seen a pair of siblings do on this show.
Stop this madness in the name of your...
The Hound is very disciplined.
Let him go!
So I do like horses, but I understand that in Game of Thrones they're going to use quite a lot of them, and some of them are probably going to die. But I'll be okay with that. It's just so long as no more dogs die. And cats. There is a zero tolerance on cat death. Oh, catching up with Tyrion.
Tell me, Lady Stark, when was the last time you saw your sister?
She's changed. She was always a bit touched, but now you might as well kill me here.
So she has a crazy sister.
What sort of imbecile arms an assassin with his own blade?
Could I gag him?
True.
Why? Am I starting to make sense?
Who are these guys? Oh, you're gonna have to untie him.
If I...
Tyrion's gonna come in for the save. Nice. Oh, we get to see his face. Good to see Tyrion mixing it up.
You need a woman?
I'm willing as she is.
Tyrion with all the best lines every time.
Famed for their skills at archery.
So this guy is...
and lovemaking.
So the general feeling from this guy is that I don't really trust him at all.
No. A common saying, but not their official motto.
Oh, this gives me bad memories of studying.
We're still on their words.
I don't know them.
You do know them, think.
Come on.
Oh, it's a cat.
I'm not gonna hurt you.
Okay, now we can continue. Is that a dragon's head?
The fools tried to kill his son. What's worse, they botched it.
I'm trying to see who that is. It looks a bit like the spider under the hood. It might be misdirection.
Discovered that you helped the Starks come to that conclusion. To think, a simple word to the Queen.
One shudders at the thought.
I don't know who to trust between these two. If either of them. She's had to crawl out of a sewer.
You want your father, boy? He's lying on the floor of some tavern.
Clearly not a boy.
By his friends.
My father is Hand of the King. I'm not a boy, I'm Arya Stark of Winterfell. And if you lay a hand on me, my father will have both your heads on spikes. Now, are you going to let me by, or do I need to smack you on the ear to help with your hearing?
Arya, second best character behind Tyrion.
Half my guard out searching for you.
I'm not lying. They said you found the bastard, and the wolves are fighting the lions and the savage.
What were you doing in the dungeons?
Chasing a cat.
This must be your son. He has the look.
Why does everyone think? Why does everyone think she's a boy?
Send you.
No one sent me, my lord. I'm here to find men for the wall.
We're on.
Come on, my lady. You heard your father.
Milady.
You wouldn't let anyone kill him, would you?
No fear on that account, little lady.
Is he even going to be alive to stop it though?
They say it's impregnable. Give me 10 good men and some climbing spikes. I'll impregnate the bitch.
I like you.
Of course he does. Ooh, very nice.
You're my counsel! Counsel! Speak sense to this honourable fool!
I understand your misgivings.
So they're trying to invoke this war?
We must consider a vile thing.
When you find yourself in bed with an ugly woman, best close your eyes, get it over with. Cut her throat. Be done with it.
That's not good advice. I mean, outside of this situation.
The Robert I grew up with didn't tremble at the shadow of an unborn child.
Oof.
I will have no part in it.
So Ned's
Have your head on a spike!
Ned's safety is pretty much compromised now. He doesn't really have anyone to back him up now. Apart from this
I'll go
guy.
ahead with my daughters.
You pollute my home with these presents.
Your aunt has done a bad thing, Robin, a very bad thing.
Of course there's an 8-year-old breastfeeding. Tyrion's face.
You can't hurt us! No one can hurt us yet! Tell him, Mommy! Tell him!
I've got to say, there's a lot of killable kids on this show.
See, good little dwarf now.
That's quite the view. Uh-oh. it's all going to kick off.
He was taken at my command to answer for his crime.
Ned took the hit for his wife.
I'll bring this.
Oh, he's still alive. Had a feeling he was going to die. This has been a long time coming.
My brother, Lord Stark. I want him back.
They're not going to take him in? I think that was the goriest episode we've had so far. Things are really kicking off. We saw Tyrion fighting for the first time. He has that kind of small dog energy, as you would expect. But no Jon Snow in this episode, or Daenerys, or Drogo. So I'm guessing the next episode, or the next couple of episodes, will feature them, and it will kind of flip back and forth, because we're definitely building up to a big conflict. Now that Ned isn't the king's hand anymore, he's pretty much a walking target. The king wants to kill Daenerys, but Daenerys is building an army with the Dothraki. People are plotting to kill Ned, who has now been injured, and his right-hand man has been killed. The king's council are made up of shady people who all have their own agendas. This episode did a good job of exploring what they're all thinking, and I don't really know which one of them to trust, if any of them. But what they all have in common is they appear to want King Robert to go to war and kill Daenerys' unborn child. And we also know that King Robert pretty much wants a fight. He wants to battle because he's, I guess, a combination of being bored of his life and being depressed, but he's itching for a fight, and all the advisors around him are advising him to have this fight and to take this preemptive strike, apart from Ned, of course. Lots of them probably for their own self-interests and their personal motives, which I suppose we are going to find out. Littlefinger and the Spider both appear to be offering up advice to Ned, to his face of course, but you never know what their true motives are. We did see who we thought was the Spider plotting, but then again I can't help noticing that Ned was caught coming outside of Littlefinger's brothel, and that if he'd have just went back to Winterfell, he probably wouldn't have gotten attacked. So I think the general rule of thumb is just to not trust anybody outside of your family, or in some cases even inside of your family. So I can't think of anything else I want to say from an analytical point of view. I'm just more looking forward to the next episode. Speaking of episodes, that's the end of this episode of that Game of Thrones episode, and I'll see you in the next episode of this video of the next episode of the Game of Thrones episode. That's the end of the video.